we are going to get started here. I got a good cut talk episode today. Man, I was just thinking yesterday and just talking to my wife in terms of just doing the cut talk podcast. I love it. I love being with the fellas. But man, I just feel like I have so much stuff on my mind that I want to talk about that it's hard to wait 2 weeks between episodes. So I think what I'm gonna start doing is just start to come downstairs and just shooting some episodes on my own. I always I was against it before, man. I'm like that's not my thing. I don't want to be shooting by myself and just talking to myself. But I feel like if you have something to say and it's meaningful, I feel like you should be able to stand on all 10 toes and deliver that by yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. I used to think it was narcissistic, but after thinking about it, it's not, because we all have stuff on our minds. So I feel like YouTube and doing on my own little small pods is a way to get that out. And it's a way to just stay consistent with the content too. Like, it's hard to make an impact, and eventually we want to be monetized. So it's hard to do that if we putting out content every 2 weeks. Like, that's hard. And like, I do my haircuts and I post that haircut video probably every week. But even I feel like that's not consistent enough. So to come down here and be able to just do some content on my own, like the wife and the kids aren't home yet. I got like 30 minutes to do some, get some work done. So I feel like this was the right opportunity to do that. So in terms of picking a topic that I wanted to talk about on my own, well, I'm a truck driver by trade. I drive a semi truck for my regular main source of income. That's my regular everyday job. And the one thing you can't do when you drive semi, or you're not supposed to do, is you're not supposed to be on your phone. So what I try to do is I try to find content on YouTube that's like an hour plus that I can watch, so I don't have to touch my phone at all when I drive. All I have to do is just drive. Before I even start the truck, turn the video on, start it, and I don't have to touch, my phone the rest of the way. So one of the podcasts that I like to watch is Fearless by Jason Whitlock on Blaze TV. Now I'm gonna say this: I don't agree with everything Jason Whitlock talks about on the show. I don't agree with everything his co-host or contributors talk about on the show, but I do like the show. It makes me have an opinion on certain things. I'm a Christian man too, so I applaud anybody who's out on the forefront with their Christianity and not ashamed to talk about it in this world. And what's going on in the climate of things today, it's not really popular to be a Christian. So the fact that somebody takes a stand and goes out and doesn't care and is going to say what he is, I applaud that. And I applaud Jason Whitlock for that. I'm a sports guy. I played basketball in college and in high school. So I'm familiar with a lot of the stuff they talk about in terms of sports. I played football and baseball in high school too. So I'm familiar and I like that content. I'm a big fan of Steve Kim. I like TJ Moe. Who else did you have on the show? All the other guests, like, I'm a fan of the show. But where I kind of, disagree in terms of some of the content that's put out there is when the personal shots. And you being a Christian man, I'm curious to know, after you make certain content, do you go over it and tell yourself, like, was that Christ-like? Am I putting a good display of Christian values for everyone to see if I go at this person like that? You can have critiques, and you could even not disagree with how somebody plays in the sport or even how somebody lives their life. But when does the line get drawn to where, like, okay, I'm not doing that? Because I feel like, in particular, Deion Sanders is probably one of the biggest topics on the show. Do you ever get to a point where you like, yeah, enough is enough? I feel like I beat this dead horse, And now it's starting to get personal. And I'm not trying to go there. And this ain't me trying to disrespect you. This ain't me trying to take jabs at you. I'm just somebody who watches the show and has a certain mindset. So when I see you do certain things on the show, it just makes me wonder, like, do you have a team of people who you converse with and acts? I know you do Tennessee Harmony too, those guys. Do you present some of the content to them and say, hey, is this Christ-like? Is this something I should be putting out that sets a good example for people to look at a Christian? And that's one of the things I was just curious about. Like, I know you said some comments about Don Staley. Now, me and her probably don't agree on everything, but I would never say some of the things that you said about her, just as a Christian man. So I'm curious to know, do you feel anything in you to be like, okay, I went too far. Let me take that out. Let me take that out. I can critique her performance. I can critique even some things she says off the court. But when I start to talk about her personally, is there ever a point when you like, nah, I can't go that way. I can't go that way. So I'm just curious. Like, I don't know you personally. And I feel like if you go make a video about somebody, when they're not there, you should say everything you're going to say in that video. When they're not there, you should be able to ask them to their face. And I feel like everything I would ask you personally in your face, I'm saying right now. So I would just be curious on those questions. Like, do you ever feel convicted to be like, okay, I went too far. Let me stop. So, and another thing is, it's unfortunate the fallout that you and Royce White had. Like, I actually, fun fact, I played Royce White in high school. I know for a fact he wouldn't remember me. But my junior year, we went to I think Royce was going to De La Salle at the time, De La Salle High School. And I played for Whitefish Bay Dominican High School. And we went to Minnesota to play them. And we actually beat them. It was a good game, man. It was electric in the atmosphere. Man, Royce was a beast. Nasty dunk. I was able to hold him a little bit. I felt like I contributed. Definitely didn't slow him down. But I feel like I did what I did to try to give him a hard time. But they ain't really do much. He still probably had in the 20s somewhere. But we was able to squeak that win out. So, but that was just a side note. But yeah, it's unfortunate that you had that fallout, because I could tell you guys were really friends outside of the show. So I pray that one day can get amended, because you never want to walk around with beef with anybody as a Christian, but just as a person. Like, I don't want to walk around knowing that this person is mad at me or this person is mad at me. Like, I've had fallouts with friends, and to this day, I wish some of those relationships could get fixed. But it gets to a point where it's like, okay, I reached out a couple times, nothing happened. So it is what it is. But what I'm curious about is, one reason you said that Royce didn't work on the show is because you would ask simple questions and Royce's answers would be so far just over the top, it was hard for the audience to follow. But one of the critiques Royce had about the show is that he felt you needed to be talking about more serious topics, especially when it came to politics. When you guys had the split, did you ever take any of that criticism to heart? Like, I don't mess with Royce anymore. It is what it is. But actually, you know what? He might have been right on that. So I'm gonna actually implement some of that in the shows going forward. Did you ever feel any of that? Because I know I've had fallouts with people before, but when I've had those fallouts, I had to examine myself. Okay, what did I do that was wrong? Not saying you was wrong in how you handled that, but just doing some soul searching and being like, okay, what going forward, what can I do better to prevent situations like that happening again? What can I do better on the show to where somebody can't come in and question how I'm running the show? So I'm curious to know, like, What went through your mind when that situation happened? Like I said, I'm a fan of the show. I watch the show when I can, when I'm at work, because it's like it's long. That's what I would say one of the biggest pros to the show is. It's long. It can keep me interested. It can keep me informed. It can keep me ready to argue because I like to have friendly debates, and I'm not opposed to watching somebody whose opinion might be different than mine. So yeah, man, I'm just curious to know those things, and just going forward with the show. I know you've changed the format a little bit, and you featuring Steve Kim and the guy Butter. I guess that's his name. How, with this new format, is that staying with the goal that you had for the show originally, which was to put biblical values out in the world? I'm just paraphrasing, but to put biblical values out in the world, and then to show that your life wasn't perfect and that you needed Christ in your life, and to relay that to other people. How is this new format sticking to that? Because what I got from the new format is it's more of a sports, a sports feel, and then I guess you do the other stuff on a separate show. So was that the plan, or was it that the people from Blaze say, "Hey, man, like I get you want to do that, but the people want this." So I'm curious to know, did you have to sit down and be like, okay, this is what I wanted for the show, but the people upstairs are telling me this is what works, this is what the audience wants. So I don't know. That's just me being curious, like me being a fan of the show, and me, being used to a way you ran it before, and now to see the changes. I'm curious to know what brought those changes about. Was it, having different guests on and you just being like, man, it's a lot. I wanted this show to be this way, but it's a lot dealing with all these, different personalities. And I think I want to make it more simple and stick to the people I know. And I'm curious to know, man. Like I said, I don't know you personally. I don't have your phone number, so this isn't something I could just call you up and ask. But again, man, I don't know. Like, it's dope that a man in your situation is able to be vulnerable and talk about how his life wasn't perfect and some of the mistakes that he had in his life, and how he's working hard to try to make amends for some of that, and to know that I can't do it alone. Like, no matter what I do, I need a savior, and that's Christ. So I applaud that. But just, I don't know. Another thing I'm not a fan of is the beef segment of the show. Like, again, I don't know whose idea it was to do that, but when you thought of that segment, or whoever thought of that segment, were they considering the fact that you are a Christian man, and this probably wouldn't be the best or have the best look on what you're trying to put out there? So I'm curious, because I know, me personally, I've had run-ins with people, and I don't speak on that. If I'm asked a question, I'll answer, but I won't take time to give that situation any energy. I don't want anything to do with that. I wish that person well, but I'm not taking my time where I could be talking about other things and elaborating on beefs. So I want to know, like, what brought about that, and then did you ever feel convicted to be like, okay, this might be a good idea to get views and to have some good content, but is this Christ like? Am I helping the next man by putting out a segment called Beefs? Because I know I couldn't watch any of that, because I might have seen a few clips of certain people, but I'm like, man, I ain't here for that. I'm really not. That's not why I watch the show. I don't want to see you arguing with people, getting into it with people, or speaking on past friction you had with people. I get that that's part of the world. That's part of everyday life. But to just, I don't know, buckle down on that, I don't know, man. I couldn't personally do it. But then again, I'm not you. I don't work for Blaze. I'm just getting started out in the podcast game. So this is just me being curious. Like I said, the name of the show is called for today is called Cut Talk Jason Whitlock Curiosity. And I'm just curious on certain things and certain decisions you made with the show. I won't stop watching the main show, but I don't know. It's just certain things that I can't get with. But again, you know the things I can get with, and I do applaud for you for doing with the show. Shout out to Shamika Michelle. I swear, if I had an aunt from Carolina, she probably looked like that. I like some of the segments she does, and I'm curious to know how often do y'all disagree? Because I feel like when y'all do a segment, y'all always like locked in and in agreement with each other. And there's nothing wrong with that. But she just seemed like a very opinionated, like, person that don't hold her tongue. And I'm curious to know how often do you guys disagree with each other? But she seemed dope. I like the takes that she gives, and I like the transparency that she has, talking about, her past relationship with her husband and the way she's trying to raise her kids. I salute to her for that. Salute to TJ Moe and what he does, man. I'm 33, so I'm guessing he's close to that age. So it's cool to see a guy that's around my age, saying that he's a Christian, not afraid of that, father, family man. And I applaud that. There was one thing, I'm going to say this, and I salute TJ Moe for actually kind of being on the other side. When you talked about Simone Biles and saying that all she's doing is jumping on the mat, her husband shouldn't be there to watch that, he should be at work. I'm gonna have to push back on that. And I salute TJ Moe for saying that I will go to the Olympics to support my wife. And I know you're not married, and I'm not the one to take jabs at you for not being married. But I feel like as a husband, you got to be there and support your wife. If you can be there and support your wife in that moment. I know the work she's put in, the dedication she has to that craft, and you want to be there and show support as a husband, no matter if it's ping pong, volleyball, gymnastics. And for you to say she was just jumping on the mat, man, you out of pocket for that, man. You out of pocket for real, man. Shout out to Simone Biles, man. But yeah, I salute TJ Moe for not always being in lockstep with you. He definitely gives his opinions, and salute to him for that. Salute to Steve Kim, man. I feel like Steve Kim is talented enough to be on ESPN, Fox Sports, anywhere and be a really dope contributor. But the fact that he's locked in with you and is with you, I think that's dope. I like y'all back and forth. I like just the knowledge that y'all have on sports. His history with college football, I'm a big boxing fan, so the fact that he's super knowledgeable on that is dope. So, man, I just want to say salute to you. It would be awesome if you saw this video and we was able to email and, talk with each other. I'm not trying to be on TV or nothing like that. It would be just cool to have a conversation with you. But, man, salute to you. Keep doing what you're doing, man. Keep putting God first, man. And I'm eager and curious to see where the show goes from here on out. But, man, blessings to you. I'm about to go make dinner for the family. And salute to you, man.